Dr. Helen Heineman, president of Framingham State College of Massachusetts. I'd like to tell you a little bit about a woman who graduated from and became a teacher here at Framingham State College. Louise Kingman graduated from the normal school in 1917 and joined the faculty in 1919. Over the years, she taught a number of subjects, but her primary responsibilities were speech, drama, and physical education. She continued to expand her creative and professional activities in tune with the evolution of the school's mission. One of her classes began producing a mimeographed sheet called the Hilltop News. This later became our campus newspaper, the Gatepost, which is still published today. Louise Kingman received a Bachelor of Science in Education in 1943 and her Master's in 1949 from Cornell University. She was president of the Alumni Association, and counted among her many professional memberships were the American Educational Theater Association, the American Association of University Women, the Delta Kappa Gamma Honor Society, the Massachusetts Speech and Hearing Association, and the Professional Women's Club. But the people who knew her best were those she met in the classroom. And in this close-knit community of learners and teachers, it is they who tell her story best.
She was. I think she was most attractive, her hair and all, and yet she was, well, let's see, she always seemed like quite dramatic and all.
I don't think she was a particularly chummy person, but she was professional and very fair.
She was really a very elegant woman. I thought, I remember being quite impressed with her.
She was the first person I saw on my first day up here as a freshman.
She taught speech and she taught some of the physical education classes. It was a combination which was rather unusual, I would say.
That she had a very strong personality and was admired and liked, that she had a tremendous energy. And what I heard 9 years after she had left was, when Miss Kingman was here.
Well, she was born in 1898. I know that she was one of 7 children. She graduated from Somerville High School, but she was very much interested in basketball. She began coaching the basketball team while she was still a student at the college.
One member from the class of '39 recently wrote a letter about her experience in Miss Kingman's class. She says, "We always looked forward to her classes, as she was so relaxed yet vibrant in whatever class she was instructing. One of our required classes was tap dancing. Miss Kingman just flew across the gym floor, graceful as a gazelle. If she ever felt discouraged by the inept group of girls shuffling their feet around, she gave no indication. She'd just smile and say, 'You can do it, girls.' That's why we loved her classes."
Yeah.
Well, I remember in one of our classes, it must have been phys ed, she was trying to teach us to tap dance. And she'd line us up. I don't think we were very good students there. She would tell us to shuffle, step, ball, change, and she'd show us how to do it, but I don't think we did very well. Shuffle, step, ball, change. She tried.
Founded in 1839, the college was the first public teacher education school in the nation, and graduates of the normal school, as it was then called, aspired to careers in high school and college teaching, school administration, law, and medicine, opening unprecedented educational and career opportunities for women. These women participated in the suffrage and temperance movements and in all the significant social efforts of the 19th century. As the student body increased, so too did the size of the campus and the educational programs and extracurricular activities for students. In 1932, the Massachusetts normal schools became state teachers' colleges, and in 1960, they became part of the state college and university system. In 1964, Framingham State College became co-educational. The Chalmers Open Air Theater was located where the Henry Whittemore Library is now. How wonderful it must have been to dress up in period costume and perform on a fine spring day, or to dance as a character on May Day. There were bleachers, and of course, enthusiastic spectators filled them for the performances. This spirit is still alive today in the performances of our hilltop players, and the site, albeit somewhat smaller, is in constant demand by faculty and students during the warmer days of the academic year.
We talked about dances because, again, generally speaking, men were not allowed on campus, but they had one man dance a year, she said, and then you were allowed to invite a male friend to come to the dance.
And we also had stunt night. I don't know whether you heard of the annual stunt night, but this is each class did some kind of a production, and it was a contest to see who had met certain criteria, and most of it was pretty much comedy. And then the faculty also did a stunt for the students, and that usually brought the house down.
I know the sophomores always did May Day. We had a big production for that in the outdoor theater. And then at senior time, there was always a senior drama that was done in the outdoor theater too for part of the graduation celebration.
It was sort of a spring rite, if you wanted. And I believe, and I talked about this with someone just recently. Somebody said we had a maypole. We probably did, I mean, it goes back to, the Old English celebration of the maypole and flowers and that kind of thing.
For May Day, when I was a freshman, I was I looked like an elf because they had those silly green outfits, but what did they call them? Page. I was a page. And with another short girl in my class.
And hardly anybody had a car. One of the people in Wayland did. We used to ride over it. She had a car. She was a year ahead of me. But we just went on the trolley and then the buses. That was it.
We had to be in our dorms at 7:30 in the evening. It was incredible. And I think until we got to be seniors, probably, it was very controlled. The morning was called chapel, and what we gathered there before classes, and usually the president would speak. There would be various programs, introductory programs. When I was a senior, in our senior year, which was 45 to 46, John Kennedy came to speak to us. Had anyone told you about that? Oh, That was a very important event. So he came to campus and spoke to us one morning, and we were in chapel. And the senior class was entitled to sit in the front rows of the chapel, and so that we, had a very good view of him. And it so happened, a picture was taken, which showed Jack Kennedy speaking, and it was sort of almost taken over his shoulder. So the entire senior class was right there in front of the picture.
Professor Kingman was a master of the art of puppetry and marionettes, and used them extensively to enhance the creative potential of her students. This became a lifelong vocation for her, but she is also remembered for infusing her classroom with hands-on activities filled with fun and excitement.
Well, I think I got to know her beyond that of a student and a teacher because I was active in the drama club. I was treasurer for a couple of years, I think, and then I supervised marionette productions of plays. We went around different places to club meetings and so forth to earn some money, and she used to have us use them. And of course they're gorgeous things. The characters they play, that witch is just out of this world. And I think we used to make some heads that were inspired by those wonderful things that she had. They're called puppets, but I think they're marionettes. Don't they have strings on them?
Yes.
Yes, but nearly everyone calls them puppets. And of course they're paper mache, and it was fun to work with that.
Miss Kingman and I share a good many things in common. One of those is a tradition my husband and I have shared with family and friends for many years. I do the clothes and he does the body work. She's a lady. It's a lovely satin shawl, and as you can see how she's strung together. I'll let John show you how they're strung. And then I always love Red Riding Hood. And she is, with her basket. Took me quite a while to find this basket. There weren't, somehow, baskets of this size were hard to come by, and I was in, I don't know, some little shop one day and found it. So she has her basket, and she has her Red Riding Hood, and so on.
This is, I'm afraid it's all ready to go. This is called the airplane control because, as you see, it looks vaguely like an airplane. The two important holding up the puppet are these two figures, which are attached to his head, which allows his head to go back and forth. This allows him to bow on the back side. And in the front, you have two that control his hands, and then two that control his feet. So you move it like that, and then they move together in doing that.
Looking at the faces of these young women, I see the same enthusiasm, energy, and promise that fills the faces of young people I see today. What a time they must have had, breaking the 7 o'clock curfew, wearing hats and gloves as part of the dress code, attending chapel in the top floor of May Hall, dressing up for stunt night, and all the fun and excitement of field days and hockey games. We can safely assume that Miss Kingman took many of these films to help counsel and assist her students on how to improve their athletic skills. But looking at them 70 years hence, we can see that she was also a chronicler of her times. And these images tell us something about a culture that nourished women's minds and their bodies. Many of these young women were the first in their families to attend college. And just as it was then, today's students will follow a tradition of excellence and service to their families and to their communities. They commute to the campus and hold down jobs while attending class, just as it was then. And they also dream about life and what it will hold for them. Much has changed, and yet much remains the same. But the mission of Framingham State College, set down more than 100 years ago, has spawned generations of successful women and men who can claim a shared tradition of fellowship and responsibility, one that has and will serve them well throughout a lifetime of learning.
Dear Framingham, thy children round thee gather. Our vows of love to thee we pledge anew. Unfailing fount of hope and joy forever, we shall proclaim our homage to you. Unfailing fount of hope and joy forever, we shall proclaim our homage to you. Through countless years, to all a fostering mother, thy bounteous blessings poured on age and youth. Our suppliant prayer, till time our chain shall sever, will ever be, live to the truth. Our suppliant prayer, till time our chain shall sever, will ever be, live to the truth.